Welcome to today's lesson in physics. Today we are discussing nuclear fission. There are two types of nuclear reactions, nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Nuclear fission is a nuclear reaction in which a heavy nucleus splits into lighter ones. This fission reaction often produces free neutrons and gamma photons and releases very large amount of energy. Example we will discuss. When a neutron strikes a uranium-235, uranium-235 absorbs this neutron and it becomes uranium-236. This uranium-236 is highly unstable. This unstable uranium-236, it splits into barium and krypton. So, first of all, uranium-235, it absorbs neutron and becomes uranium-236, which is very unstable, and it gets split into two lighter ones. That lighter ones, they are barium and krypton. That is the simple example of this fission reaction. Then along with this barium and krypton, we have 3 neutrons also emitted by the reaction. And there is energy which is equivalent to 200 million electron volt. So this energy comes from the equivalent mass. That means mass of the reactants is found to be more than the mass of the products. So that difference in mass appears in the form of energy, and it comes as the kinetic energy of the product. That means barium, krypton and the neutrons. So in one fission reaction of uranium-235 itself, we are getting 200 million electron volt. So as a result of fission reaction, 3 neutrons also are produced. These 3 neutrons will be fast moving neutrons and they can make bombardment with other uranium-235 nuclei. So again, those uranium-235 nuclei, they absorb these neutron and becomes uranium-236, which is unstable, and hence get divided into barium and krypton, which again emits neutrons. So this process can continue as a chain. So we have the fission chain reaction, and fission chain reaction is a sequence of reactions where a reactive product causes additional reactions. That means as a chain, the fission reaction is taking place. So here we can see first one neutron makes collision with first uranium-235 atom, then barium and krypton is formed, and 3 neutrons also are formed. These 3 neutrons again make collisions with uranium-235 atoms. They causes fission reaction in those uranium-235. So again, each uranium-235, it gets split into barium, krypton and 3 neutrons. So again, 9 neutrons will be produced. These 9 neutrons again, they can bombard with uranium-235 atoms, again producing fission reaction. Like that, this fission reaction can continue. So in first stage, only 1 fission reaction. In second stage, only 3. Then in the third stage, we have 9. And in ninth stage, in the next stage, we will have 9 into 3, that means 27 neutrons. Like that, number of neutrons will be increasing in each stage. So in each fission reaction, 200 million electron volt of energy is liberated. So if the fission reaction is taking place like this as a chain reaction, the amount of energy liberated also increases. That means a very large amount of energy get liberated in a very short interval of time. So that type of process we call as uncontrolled chain reaction. So we have chain reaction itself taking place in two types. That means first one uncontrolled and second one controlled chain reaction. So uncontrolled chain reaction is the principle of atom bomb and controlled chain reaction is the principle behind nuclear reactor. Next we are going to discuss nuclear reactor. In nuclear reactor we have a core. First of all, we have a core. So nuclear core or reactor core is the place where we keep nuclear fuel. Where the nuclear fuel is kept, that place we call as the reactor core. So which is the reactor core or which is the nuclear fuel which we are keeping? Radioactive materials like or fissionable substances like uranium-235, that's what the nuclear fuel is. So that nuclear fuel will be kept in the reactor core. For the purpose of explanation, we have taken this diagram. You can draw the diagram given in the textbook. So in the reactor core, the reaction is taking place and the energy will be liberated. So to take the energy out of the reactor core, so actually reactor core is well shielded from the surroundings because radioactive substance we are taking or keeping inside the reactor core. So radiations will be there which are harmful to human life. So it should be well shielded from the surroundings. So in such an arrangement, this whole setup is kept. So to take the energy out of this reactor core, we have substances called coolants. So coolants are the substances used to take the energy out of reactor core. So coolant means what we are using as coolant is water under high pressure. We'll use water under high pressure and that water under high pressure will be sent through this reactor core. So when it is sent through the reactor core, it will be absorbing what energy from the reactor core. So what is the speciality of water under high pressure? Since it is under high pressure, its boiling point increases. The pressure of this water is very high so that it will not boil even at 500 degrees Celsius. That's what. So that's what the case with water under high pressure. So this water, when it is passed through reactor core, it absorbs energy and it gets heated. And that water which is at high temperature, it is allowed to pass through a heat exchanger. In the heat exchanger, actually this water it is passed through a pipe and in that exchanger we have normal water. That normal water, when this hot water passes through it, it gets boiled because this hot water is very hot, at very high temperature it is. So that water in the heat exchanger, it gets heated and steam will be produced. And that steam is used to rotate the turbine and electricity is produced. So this is how power is generated through nuclear reactor. Now we will discuss two more parts of this nuclear reactor, moderators and control routes. In nuclear reactor, we already mentioned chain reaction is taking place in a controlled manner. So in each stage of this fission reaction, we know from each nuclei, 3 neutrons are produced. These 3 neutrons, they are carrying energy because in each fission reaction 200 million electron volt energy is produced. That energy appears as the kinetic energy of the product. So this neutron is highly energetic and they move fast. And it is very important that these neutrons should be captured by the other generation uranium-235 atoms. Then only this chain reaction continues and energy will be liberated in a controlled rate. So the capturing of neutrons by the next uranium-235 atoms is very important. So if the neutrons produced by the fission reaction, if they are very highly energetic, it may so happen that the neutrons will just penetrate uranium-235 atom and will come out of the nucleus without causing any fission. In that case, the chain reaction will not continue and the production of energy will not take place at the rate what we expect. So, the fast moving neutrons are to be slowed down in order to confirm the occurrence of chain reaction at a fixed rate. So, the materials which we use to reduce the speed of fast moving neutrons, they are called as moderators. So, they are the light nuclei which are used to slow down the fast moving neutrons. The mainly used moderators are heavy water and graphite. Heavy water means D2O. The original water, it is H2O. In the place of protium, we have the isotope of hydrogen, that is deuterium. Such water we call as heavy water, and graphite also is used as moderator. In Apsara reactor in Baba Atomic Research Center in India, we use heavy water as the ordinary water we use as moderator there, and in other Indian reactors we are using heavy water as the moderator. Graphite also can be used as moderator. Before discussing control routes, let's discuss a term called multiplication factor. So we already mentioned in each fission reaction there are 3 neutrons. So in each stage or in each generation, we can say number of neutrons is increasing heavily. So the growth rate of this neutrons in the reactor, it is represented by the term called multiplication factor. So multiplication factor is defined as the ratio of number of fission produced by a given generation of neutrons to the number of fission of the preceding generation. That ratio, that means number of fission in this generation to the number of fission reaction in the previous generation. That's what we mean by multiplication factor. Now, for the steady production of electricity or power in the nuclear reactor, we have to keep K equal to 1. If K equal to 1, we say the operation of the reactor is critical and we need it for the production of energy. If K becomes less than 1, the energy production will not take place at sufficient rate, so it is not desirable. But if K becomes greater than 1, it is a highly dangerous situation, because we know if the more neutrons are producing fission reaction, means energy will be liberated at a faster rate, which will end in explosion. So that should not happen. So that is why we are controlling the reaction in nuclear reactor. So to make sure that all the neutrons produced in one fission reaction should not take part in fission reaction in the next stage. Okay, so that's what we do in reactors. So for that purpose, we use a device called control rod. So if K is not brought down very close to unity, the reactor will become supercritical and will explode. That is the case. If we are not bringing back this K value to 1, the reactor will explode. Such an explosion has taken place in 1986 in Chernobyl. Even the disastrous explosion, even now it has impacts on the human life in and around the Chernobyl reactor. That means nearer to that Chernobyl reactor, because nuclear reactions or nuclear radiations, they cause genetic mutations. So human generations will suffer from such accidents. So it should not happen at any cost. So to control that, we use control rods, and control rods are neutron absorbing materials such as cadmium. So cadmium and boron rods are used as control rods. So they will be absorbing neutrons. So the excess neutrons will be absorbed, and by that we make sure that the reaction is not continued as earlier. That is how we control. In addition to control rods, reactors are provided with the safety rods when required. That means in emergency situations, without control, if energy is produced, to bring down the value of K suddenly to less than 1, we insert safety rods. Again, safety rods also are made of cadmiums, but they will be used only in emergency, while this control rods will be in use always. So that is the reaction or the main parts of this reactor, nuclear reactor. So moderator, control rod, coolant, all are very important. Now uranium-238 isotope, which is not exactly fissionable, on capturing a neutron leads to the formation of plutonium, as we discussed. And the uranium-238 also is actually a fissionable material. That's what we mean. In nuclear reactors or wherever nuclear reactions are taking place, highly radioactive elements are continuously produced. So an unavoidable feature of nuclear operation is the accumulation of radioactive waste, including both the fission products and heavy transuranic elements such as plutonium and americium. That means they cause radioactive radiations, which causes or which are very harmful to the living beings. Now there are some special reactors called as Breeder reactor. A Breeder reactor is one that produces more fissionable nuclei than it consumes. Natural uranium contains only very little of the fissionable uranium-235 isotope. It contains mostly non-fissionable uranium-238 isotope. So when it is bombarded with fast neutrons, it produces highly radioactive plutonium through these reactions, the reaction which is given. Nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion is the nuclear reaction in which two light nuclei combine to form a larger nucleus. That process is called as nuclear fusion. For example, 1H1 plus 1H1 giving 1H2 plus E plus nu plus 0.42 million electron volt. Means that in that reaction 0.42 million electron volt energy is liberated. So two protium, they combine to form one deuterium, and as a result we have one positron and neutrino. About neutrino we already mentioned, along with the liberation of energy. Then this 1H2 and 1H2 combine to form 2He3 plus neutron plus 3.24 million electron volt. Again 1H2 combines to form 1H3. Okay, so these are the examples of fusion reaction. And fusion reaction is the source of energy in stars including sun. In sun, it is actually the fusion reaction of hydrogen into helium which is taking place. So continuously this reaction is taking place, that is the source of energy, continuous source of energy in sun. This proton-proton cycle is the 4-step process which is taking place in sun. So we can represent the proton-proton cycle by the set of reactions like this. The first step 1H1 plus 1H1 giving 1H2 plus E plus nu plus 0.42 million electron volt. In the next step we have E plus and E minus, that means E plus, that is positron antimatter, and E minus, that is matter, that means electron. So positron is the antiparticle of electron. So electron and positron combining means such a reaction is called as pair annihilation process. Okay, matter and antimatter combine to form or combine to liberate energy. That's what we call as pair annihilation process. So here as a result 1.02 million electron volt energy is liberated. Then 1H2 plus 1H1 giving 2He3 plus gamma plus 5.49 million electron volt, and 2He3 plus 2He3 giving 2He4 plus 1H1 plus 1H1 plus 12.86 million electron volt. So, the combined reaction, it becomes 4 1H1 plus 2 electron giving 2 He4 plus 2 neutrino plus 2 gamma, 6 gamma plus 26.7 million electron volt. So, when 4 hydrogen, when they combine to form helium, 26.7 million electron volt of energy is liberated. So, this is what is happening. Now, what is the peculiarity of this nuclear fusion reaction is this. See, lighter nuclei, they should come close to each other and they should combine. The nuclei should combine. You know, it is very difficult for the nuclei to combine because there will be nuclei, they are having positive charge, so there will be high Coulomb force of repulsion. Overcoming that Coulomb force of repulsion, they have to come close. So, for that purpose, their energy should be very high, then only they can come close to each other, overcoming the Coulomb barrier, we can say. So, this reaction will take place only at very high temperature. Temperatures of around 10 raised to 7 Kelvin is required for this reaction to take place. In the core of sun, we know the temperature is very high, 5 into 10 means that means 10 raised to 7 Kelvin and all. So, that condition is okay for this reaction to take place. So, that is why this reaction is also called as thermonuclear reaction. And when this occurrence of this, or the presence of or abundance of this hydrogen, when this decreases, the production of energy in sun also will decrease. That will take place, it says that in 5 billion years, coming 5 billion years it will take place. So, the state of that sun also will change, it will become a red giant. Okay, such things we need not discuss. So, that is what. So, now the efforts are going on to make sure that, or to try this fusion reaction in the laboratory conditions, because compared to fission reaction, fusion reaction is more effective. That means there is no harmful radiations which are emitted, and there is no threat to the surroundings. But this condition is there, that is high temperature is required. That is why it is said, if we try a fusion bomb, it will be highly disastrous than fission bomb. Fission bomb, you know, atom bomb, which was tried in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And if we try hydrogen bomb, to trigger hydrogen bomb, we have to blast atom bomb. Then only we can trigger hydrogen bomb, because high temperature we need to produce. So, the result of this hydrogen bomb, that will be highly disastrous. Okay, so efforts are taking place in that way to to experiment this controlled thermonuclear fusion reaction. So, with that, our topic is over. Thank you.